Welcome to APCUG's Wednesday workshop, where we get together in the middle of the week and learn more about technology. It's March. March is National Backup Month. We'll be talking a lot about backing up for safety during this month of workshops. One such, the reason for backup, is for security and for preventing loss of your important files. But we're going to start out this month with a different topic in learning ways in which you can become safe online to maybe hopefully prevent any of these bad things happening for you. We're really excited to have back with us from the FTC, Gema de la Heras. She's a bilingual consumer education specialist at the FTC Consumer and Business Education Division. She works as an outreach project to inform consumers about bad business practices and how to spot and avoid fraud. She also authors consumer alerts on the latest scams and has over 15 years of experience in consumer education roles. Before joining the FTC, Gema worked as a television producer for Univision 41 News and later as a New Jersey Division of Consumer Affairs Public Information Officer. Gema has brought with us one of her co-workers, Alvaro Puig, who's been a consumer education specialist in the FTC's Consumer and Business Education Division since 2004. We welcome him for his first time. During that time, he's worked on dozens of integrated marketing communications campaigns to raise awareness about critical consumer protection issues and to help consumers avoid scams. Today, they'll both be sharing with us to learn more about staying safe online and keeping your computer and your personal information free. So I'm going to turn things over to both of them and they'll tag team and do what they do.
Thank you, John, and hello everybody. Just give me a quick second here while I share my screen so you can see our presentation. And all right, but just give it a quick sec. You'll hopefully see what I'm sharing. All right. I think that looks okay. Everybody can see my screen.
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, again, thank you for attending today's webinar. And I'm Gema de la Heras, as they mentioned. I'm here with my colleague, Alvaro Puig. We're going to take turns presenting today, and we hope to hear from you as well. So please put your questions in the chat or any comments that you have, and we're going to be answering questions at the end of the presentation. As John mentioned, we're from the FTC, and the FTC is the nation's consumer protection agency. Many of you likely know that the FTC works to stop fraud, deception, unfair business practices, and we do that through law enforcement, education, and outreach like we're doing today. Today, we're going to talk about some steps that you can take to protect yourself online and free resources that you can use and share with your network. And by the way, some of the ways that you can protect yourself online, it's backing up your data, as John was mentioning earlier. But first, I want to share with you some of the data that was released this week based on consumer reports that people file with the FTC in 2024. So when people report fraud or other bad business practices to the FTC, that information goes into the Consumer Sentinel Network database, along with reports people make to other federal state agencies, groups like the Better Business Bureau and AARP. So all these reports help the FTC look for patterns and trends to identify enforcement targets, and also to alert people or the public to trending scams through the consumer education and outreach that we do. Last year, as you can see on the screen, there were 2.6 million fraud reports. This is roughly the same number of reports we received in 2023, but more people lost a lot more money to fraud in 2024. In fact, one of 3 people who reported fraud to the FTC last year said that they actually lost money. And that is up for 1 in 4 people in 2023. So the total reported losses last year added up to 12.5 billion. We're talking billions of dollars now. And that is 2.5 billion more that was lost in 2023. Now, something that I want to highlight to you as a group who spend a lot of time online is that in 2024, people lost over 3 billion to scams that started online. And that is compared to scams that to 1.9 billion that was lost to scams that started more traditional, if you will, contact methods like through phone calls or text messages or emails. So more money was lost to scams that started online. And now I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, to Alvaro, with more information on how to detect scammers and also practical ways to protect yourself. Alvaro?
Thanks, Gema. And I did not know that March is National Backup Month. So thank you, John, for that. I can now say that I learned something new today, which is pretty exciting. As we just heard from Gema, the FTC gets a lot of reports about fraud. So let's look at how to spot some of those common scams. The first step is knowing how scammers contact people. They send text messages and chat messages. They call people and leave voicemail messages. They email people, and they also contact people online and through social media sites. So they're really trying all of the communications channels to get in touch with people. Knowing what scammers want from you can help you spot and avoid a scam. So some scammers want you to send them money. Some scammers want to trick you into giving them your account information, things like your bank account or credit card info, so they can steal money from your accounts. And some scammers want to install malware, steal your information, and then open new accounts in your name. So let's talk a bit about how to protect yourself from scammers. And let's start with how to block unwanted calls, specifically on your mobile phone. One of the best ways to do that is to download a call blocking app, which acts like a filter. The apps use call data and spam reports to predict which calls are illegal or likely scams, and they intercept those calls before they reach you. Some of these apps are free, but others charge a fee. To choose a call blocking app, you can go to your online app store and look at ratings and reviews for different apps. We also recommend going online and reading reviews from independent experts. You can also check out a list of call blocking apps available at ctia.org, which is a website from the wireless industry. Another way to stop unwanted calls on your mobile phone is to use your phone's built-in features. Many phones have settings that let you block calls from specific phone numbers, and they also usually have features like Do Not Disturb that send calls straight to voicemail. And a third option is to see what services your phone provider offers. Check the provider's website, the app, or call customer service to find out what call blocking or call labeling services they offer. And again, some of these services are free or included with your plan, but some others might come at an additional charge. All right, so now let's talk about how to block those annoying, unwanted, spammy text messages. Fortunately, there are many ways to do that. Your phone may have an option to filter and block spam text messages or messages from unknown senders. Again, your wireless provider might have a service that blocks unwanted text messages. And again, you can check out ctia.org to learn about the different services that the providers offer. And some call blocking apps also let you block unwanted text messages. So again, you can go to ctia.org to look for some of those resources. And for more details about blocking unwanted text messages on specific types of phones, like Apple phones, Android phones, you can go to ftc.gov/spam text, and that'll take you to our article, How to Recognize and Report Spam Text Messages. Okay, so we covered blocking unwanted calls and text messages. So let's talk a bit about how to protect your phone from hackers. First thing you want to do is lock it. Set your phone to lock automatically when you're not using it, and create a PIN or a passcode to unlock it. Longer passcodes are better, so aim for 6 digits. After you set up a passcode, you might be able to unlock it with your fingerprint or your face. That way you don't have to enter your passcode every time you unlock your phone. The second thing you want to do is update it. Your phone has built-in security features, and phone manufacturers push out free updates to protect you against the latest security threats. It's also a good idea to set your phone to automatically update so you have the latest protections as soon as they're available. And finally, it's a good idea to back up your phone. You can back it up to the cloud or an external drive. That way you can recover your information if something does go wrong. It's also a good idea to turn on the feature that helps you track a lost or stolen phone. That feature lets you remotely lock or erase your phone if someone steals it or if you aren't able to find it after you lose it. So let's also take a look at some steps to take to protect your computer from hackers. The best way to do that really is to keep your software up to date because, again, those updates often include critical security patches and protections. So when we talk about updating, be sure to update several things: your security software and antivirus program, your operating system software, your internet browsers, and your apps and programs. So even if you do take these precautions to fend off hackers, it's always a good idea to back up your computer, especially now since it's National Backup Month. And think about saving important information like photos, videos, or documents. One option for backing up your information is to save your files and data online. You might be familiar with some of these services like Google Drive, Evernote, Dropbox, or iCloud, but there are many others out there. Some providers give you free storage space and let you pay for more. Many providers use many cloud storage providers use encryption to protect your data, which is the process of scrambling the information to hide the contents of the file. If you're thinking about using cloud storage, find out what level of privacy or security the different services offer, and look for one that offers two-factor authentication to protect your information. Another option is to save your files to an external storage drive. A flash drive is an affordable option that offers a moderate amount of storage. Another option is an external hard drive. That might cost a little bit more than a flash drive, but it gives you more storage capacity and transfers data faster. And it also lets you choose which files or folders to back up, and you might also be able to schedule automatic backups. So let's talk about wireless router security. Your wireless router is really the key to security and privacy at home because your connected devices likely connect to the internet through your router. So to secure your router, you want to start by changing the default settings, things like the admin username, the password, and network name to something unique. Don't use login names or passwords with your name, your address, or your router brand. You want to enable encryption by going to your admin settings and then to your wireless security settings, sorry. Again, check for updates for both your hardware and your software. And finally, disconnect any older devices you no longer use from that network. If their security is out of date, they could be a weak point on your network. So that's what we have on protecting devices. So let's talk a bit about protecting your accounts. Start by using a strong password. Make it long. We're now recommending that you aim for at least 15 characters. You want to use a combination of uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. I think we all know that long passwords can be hard to remember, but your browser or your phone or tablet can save your password and automatically populate it the next time you need to log in. Another option, since those passwords can be hard to remember, is to use a passphrase, which is a series of words separated by spaces. A note of caution, though, that if you do use a passphrase, make sure it consists of random words and avoid using things that are easy for a hacking program to guess, like common phrases and song lyrics. While using a strong password is an important step in protecting your account from hackers, even a strong password can be exposed in a data breach. So to add an extra layer of security to your account, we recommend enabling two-factor authentication on your accounts. If you turn on two-factor authentication, you have to enter your password and a second form of verification to log in. So let's look at some of the most common types of two-factor authentication. One of the most common methods of two-factor authentication is a verification passcode you get by text message or email. It's typically 6 digits long, but it can be longer. It's only good for one login, and it expires automatically. Some accounts let you use an authenticator app to verify your identity. There are several authenticator apps out there. Some you may have heard of are Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, and Duo. Authenticator apps can generate a verification password like the one you might get by text message or email. But some authenticator apps can send a push notification to your phone when someone tries to log into your account. The notification might give you some details about the login attempt. For example, the account someone is trying to log into, the date and time of the login attempt, and the approximate location of the device trying to log in. And you can approve or deny that request with a simple tap on the app. So that's the advice I wanted to share with you about blocking scammers from contacting you and protecting your devices and accounts. And so now I'll hand it back to Gema.
Thank you, Alvaro. All right, here we go. So we have talked about what information scammers want to steal, why, what they do with it, but there are steps that we can take to protect our information. One of them is to keep important documents in a safe place, like your birth certificate, things like financial statements, your documents that you don't use every day. Try to keep those under lock and key if possible. And if you throw any statements away or any documents that have personal information, shred them first. Of course, don't carry your social security card in your wallet. Instead, keep it in a safe place. You probably don't need it as long as you have the phone number. I mean, as long as you have your social security number. And if your wallet gets lost or stolen, and your card is in your wallet, it could be compromised. So it's a advice to try to keep it in a safe place rather than your wallet. Don't share information with someone who contacts you unexpectedly, because nobody legitimate will ever get in touch with you asking for your social security number or your bank account or credit card number. Only scammers do that. Only scammers contact you out of the blue and try to get this information from you. Use passwords that are hard to guess. And as Alvaro mentioned, use two-factor authentication whenever it's possible, because that adds another layer of security and verification when you get into your accounts. So small steps like this, it might seem simple, but these small steps can make a big difference in safeguarding your information. Now, let's talk about identity theft, which sometimes happens in ways that we don't have any control over, especially with all the data breaches that are happening. Sometimes it's not something that we can do to protect ourselves. So you might be thinking, well, how can I protect myself from identity theft? How can I protect my identity? Well, I'll tell you that the number one thing that you can do right now and not right now, but right after this webinar is to freeze your credit to protect against unauthorized access to your credit file. And that really makes it harder for anyone to open accounts in your name. So in a moment, I'm going to tell you how you can place a credit freeze in your credit reports. But first, I want to tell you more about these credit freezes and how they work. While a credit freeze is in place on your credit report, nobody can open a credit card or a credit account in your name. It's free to place this credit freeze, and it lasts until you lift it. It's also free to lift it, and it lasts, like I said, until you lift it. You would only lift it when you need to apply for credit or to rent an apartment or maybe to buy insurance. You can then temporarily lift the freeze and then put it back on after they've done the credit check. Now, to place this credit freeze, you have to contact each of the 3 credit bureaus That's Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And you can find their contact information and more details on how to do this at ftc.gov/credit freeze. On the site of the credit bureau, once you go directly to each of the credit bureaus, you're going to need to provide your identification information, including your social security number, just to set up the freeze. And as I mentioned, it's free to set up and free to lift it. Once you're ready to lift it, because let's say you're buying a new car, or you need to get new credit, or they need to check your credit to get a new card or a job or whatever you're applying for. Once you are ready to lift it, you have to contact whatever credit bureau the lender is going to use to check your credit. And you can ask them that. You can ask them, which credit bureau are you going to be using to check my credit? And then you can just call that credit bureau directly, lift the credit freeze, and then put it back on once they're done with the check, with the credit check. So it's a very simple procedure that will protect your credit. Now, let's talk about what to do if identity theft happens to you. So this is not if your identity has been exposed, which is very different than when it's actually it's actually stolen and is being misused. So the first thing that you have to do is to act quickly. If you know what accounts were compromised, the first thing to do is to contact whoever holds those accounts, the lenders, the banks, and tell them what happened. Tell them that there's some sort of identity theft going on. Then please go to the website, identitytheft.gov, as soon as possible. And that is an FTC website where you can report the identity theft and get a personalized plan to help you recover from any problem that the theft may have caused. All you have to do is click on the button that says Get Started, and you're going to be following some prompts. You're going to put in whatever details you know about how your identity theft was stolen or misused, and the site is then going to use that information that you provide to create a personalized recovery plan for you. You can also report in Spanish if you feel more comfortable doing it that way at robodeidentidad.gov. And if you know anyone who prefers to report in other languages, there's a phone number where they can call, 877-438-4338, and then select option 3 to talk to an interpreter who is going to help them file the report. Now, another important page to bookmark and to share with people that you know is where to report fraud. This piece is really important in the fight against scams because we know that scammers don't just scam one person. So if you see or experience a fraud, a scam, or any bad business practice, help your community, help protect your friends, your family, and report it to the FTC, because every time that you file a report with the FTC, you're really helping us put a piece of the puzzle that helps us build the cases, stop the scammers, and also alert other people about these scams this current trends or scams that are happening. And in just a few short steps, you can report fraud at reportfraud.ftc.gov. Again, if you want to do it in Spanish, the page is reportefraude.ftc.gov. And in other languages, people can call the number 877-382-4357. This is a different phone number. But again, choosing the option 3 will connect people with an interpreter to help them file the report. And we understand that not everybody feels comfortable providing information to a government database, but people can submit the report anonymously or work with an advocate to or someone else to file the report on their behalf. Now, let me go quickly over some free resources that you can share. Alvaro has shared a lot of advice on how to protect your devices from hackers and threats. If you want to learn more about this, about online privacy and security, on this page, ftc.gov/online security, You'll find over a dozen articles that you can use to protect yourself online and also share it with your groups. And I talked about credit freeze as being one of the #1 ways to protect from identity theft. The information that you see here on the slide is available in print in English and in Spanish. If you have any in-person events, you can order free copies from ftc.gov/bulk order. That's the page where you can place orders for some of our materials in print. This same information on the credit freezes, it's available in multiple languages at ftc.gov/languages. And I want to mention our Pass It On consumer education materials. Pass It On, or Pásalo in Spanish, reinforces what you know about spotting and avoiding fraud, and it gives you a little bit more detail about the scams. This helps you and those around you talk and feel more confident about starting a conversation and sharing what you know about scams with friends, family, and peers. The campaign materials include fact sheets, bookmarks, online articles, and ready-to-go presentations if you go out in the community and do presentations for other people. And those cover 13 topics ranging from impersonator scams to health insurance scams and unwanted calls. All of our content, this campaign, as long as all of our other consumer education content is in the public domain, and that means that there's no copyright or permission. You don't need to contact us and get permission to use it. You can just share it as if it were your own. You can post them on social media, or you can include them in your bulletins or share copies with friends and family. Again, the page where you can place order for print materials is ftc.gov/bulk order. And you can order this stuff there for free and have it shipped to you as well for free. Anything you order takes about 3 to 4 weeks to be shipped to you. And scams are always changing, and the best way to keep up with the latest trends and what the FTC is seeing is to sign up to get FTC consumer alerts. You can do that at ftc.gov/consumer alerts. Or if you prefer to get those alerts in Spanish, or if you know anyone who might be interested in that, the page is ftc.gov/alertas de consumidor. When you sign up, you're going to get emails with very short advice on how to spot, avoid, and report the newest variations of the scams that we're seeing. And the alerts are really very easy to share on social media, and also to help other people that you know stay in the know. Of course, you can also encourage friends, family, or anyone that you know to also sign up to get this alerts as well. And now we're happy to take any questions, unless you want to wait. Do we take the questions now, Judy, or at the end of the presentation? You tell us.
Let's do it now, because you guys, then you don't need to stay for the whole meeting.
Okay, wonderful. So Alvaro and I are ready for any questions you have, anything that came up.
I have here, Chris lets us know that credit freezes are not free in Canada. Yes. And when filing a report, I know there's a form to fill out, but does the FTC offer help to anybody who is just really clueless, and I'm going to use the word shy, and they're very unsure, but they want to file a report? Can they get any hand holding?
We encourage people to try to do it online. It's a fairly simple process because it will prompt you with questions, and just by answering the questions, it helps you file the report. But if you do need assistance, they can also call the phone number that I gave out. And they don't have to press option 3. They can just speak with a representative who will help them if they want.
I'm a member of the LA FBI Senior Scams Working Group. And before COVID, they wanted people to become familiar with the forms that need to be completed. and offer to be at a library and say, you know, get it publicized that we can help you fill out your fraud forms, because people who are not, you know, computer aware and things like that, of course, that went away with COVID. And I'm hoping that we talk about that initiative to get, because you might get more fraud reports if there's somebody for a senior to hold their hand, so to speak.
Yeah, well, the website was revamped so that it's not you know, a complex process. But like I said, if anyone needs help, there is a phone number where they can call.
Good.
And also, you could also use someone to file a report for you. Like I said, you could use an advocate or someone that, you know, if, for example, one of your members wants to file a report on behalf of someone else, that can be done as well.
Cool. And I just popped up. Everybody goes, well, my kids know how to do everything. Perfect. Just ask your kids or even your grandkids, for heaven's sakes. They'll know how to do it. And I do want to let you know that I've received the FTC bulletins for years, and I post everyone on APCUG's Facebook page.
That's wonderful. We really appreciate that.
Yeah. When freezing my credit report, how does it work if my husband and I have a shared card with numbers, but each of us can sign with that card? Do both of us have to freeze the card, or if I freeze it, will it affect his as well?
That's a good question, and probably something I have to get back to you on that. If it's a joint account, I don't have that information, but if you, we're going to be sharing our emails. If you want to shoot me an email afterwards with that question, I'll do my best to find a reply, a better response to that.
Okay, thank you so much. When using passphrases, which contain words that can be found in dictionaries, what if a hacker uses a dictionary attack to break the passphrase? Isn't this a major concern with using passphrases? And wouldn't using a strong password be a much better and safer choice?
So passphrases, our recommendation is to use random phrases, things that when you string them together, like they're not a sentence, they're not actually a phrase that makes sense, they're just random phrases, so that people can't use these programs to search for common phrasing that's available in the English language. So you know, it's really a preference whether you want to use that string of random words put together, or a long password. You know, I personally get frustrated with the passwords because some of them have different restrictions on what special characters you can and can't use, and so you know, a passphrase can be a good option for folks. But the key is to make them random words that essentially, like, they're gibberish. They're not going to make sense together when you string them together. And so that's going to make it harder for someone to guess what those sequence of words are.
And you're saying we're up to 15 characters now.
Yeah, that's a fairly recently updated recommendation. Again, right, with all these special characters and, you know, the advice to not repeat them on different accounts, you know, that's where passphrases are an option. Another option that I didn't mention but is out there is a password manager. That, you know, you put all your passwords into this manager, and then your browser or your device automatically logs you in. The key with those is do not forget the password to your password manager, because then that's gonna be a big problem.
I always tell people to print 15 copies and hide them every place in the house, just in case. Yeah. Is there any online sources that identify scams to watch for, maybe in bulletins of some kind or that is sent out?
I mean, there's the email bulletins that Gema mentioned. If you go to ftc.gov/scams, that's our scams landing page, where everything that we've produced, an article, a blog post, a video, a graphic that is about a scam is going to show up on that page. So those two are really the best way to keep up on the latest scams. We do try to write about them as we hear them, because they, you know, scammers are constantly updating them, and sometimes it's sort of a slight tweak, but an important tweak. And so we try to write about all the variations and permutations of these scams so that folks can recognize them. Okay, yeah, that's exactly what happened to me. I know that's a scam.
Yeah. I was just typing in the chat, consumer alerts. I think that as Alvaro mentioned, I put in the page that he mentioned, but I think that signing up for the consumer alerts is really a great way to stay on top of what's new, because we're constantly writing and putting up alerts of things or scams that we're seeing or hearing about. So that's a great way to stay, up to date.
Mm-hmm. Another question for passwords. Are letters with accent marks accepted, such as a symbol over a French letter or an overhang over a Scandinavian in the language? That is the first time I have ever heard anybody ask that question. That is so cool.
Yeah, and the question about credit freezes either. I've never gotten that one. I don't know. I don't know. So someone maybe, give it a try and let us know.
Yeah. Do we have any more questions? Joel.
Yes. One thing I was wondering about, I get an awful lot of spam messages on some of our club email accounts that are in foreign languages other than Spanish. Somehow Brazil has decided, well, actually, that's not true. Scammers have decided that we must know Portuguese, and we get a lot of stuff that claims to come from Brazil that really comes from Japan, Russia, Ukraine, and whatnot, if you look at the headers. So do you attempt to track any of that stuff? They have some things that are the same kind of scams, where they want you to sign a document that you have been given out of the blue and things like that, which will really take you to a site that tries to steal your account information.
Yeah, that I know of, we haven't written about scams, emails in other languages, but we do focus on the things that they try to get you to do. Also some of the sort of pressure that they apply, right, by saying there's an emergency or your money's at risk or someone you love is in harm.
My driver's license has been revoked in Brazil.
I'm sorry to hear that. But we focus on the things that are sort of the signs of a scam, because, the only people that are going to tell you to do some of these things are the scammers.
Oh, Joel, this is everybody's thinking, oh my gosh, I haven't gotten anything like that. Could it be in our future? Bob Francis, you have a question.
I got a couple of questions. One about the credit card. My wife and I have had the same card. She left it at a gas station, and I was in the gas station trying to get gas, and it was declined. And I called them, and they said it's not person, it's number. So if her card gets frozen, mine gets frozen.
Okay.
That's what I found out from my personal thing. And I recently bought a over $100 purchase on the internet, and when I clicked submit, it came up and said declined. I immediately got a text from my credit card company asking me, was this me? To click yes, which I did, and I also got an email, and it also said in the email, retry this, but if you want to check first with the merchant to make sure they didn't already process it. And I did it again, and it went through, but it was over $100, and that happens to me every time. I have that on my card. Anything over $100, they have to contact me.
Yeah.
Very good.
Here's another couple of things about the whole presentations here. So I've done these presentations also to my computer club. Number one of this whole thing, common sense. Number two is emotions, because hackers play on emotions. They call, like my wife got a call that my grandson was in a car accident. This didn't sound like him because his nose was broken, so his voice didn't sound like him. When he was telling me he's going to have an attorney call me so he can take the $5,000 out of my account. I said, no, I'll call him. Give me his number. Click, hang up. But to summarize the whole thing, at our mature status of life, parts of our body don't work so good anymore. So what do you got to do? Stop, think, hang up. That's my comment.
Thank you. What about phones that are not truly smartphones, like flip phones? How does we update one that doesn't connect to the internet?
Another great question. Well, so these phones aren't connecting to the internet, so I don't, this is my personal opinion. I don't know that we have advice on this. I don't think they would be hackable, right? Because no one's connecting to them through data. So I don't see any way that someone could hack into them. You know, if they don't connect to the internet, even if you get a spammy text message with a malicious link, you can't click on it. So it seems like those are much less susceptible to fraud and scams than smartphones.
Is the help number the same as the other languages number?
So the phone number for reporting fraud is 877 FTC help. And that's the same. If you want other languages, you just, when you're prompted, you press 3. So yes, they are the same number. English, Spanish, and other languages.
Thank you. Is there a Canadian equivalent to the FTC for this type of info?
Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to guess, so you go ahead.
Actually, there is, it's econsumer.gov is where you can report fraud. I'll put it in the chat. That's, my understanding is international. So to report scams from other countries or in other countries, I'll just econsumer.gov.
Thank you. And another question or comment from Joel.
I was just going to mention that, well, several things. I doubt if the password things will accept Unicode characters because they're usually pretty explicit about A to Z and the numerical digits, and then to what specific special characters it accepts. So I doubt if the Unicode characters for the accented letters would be accepted by any of those.
But good thought.
And the other thing that I was thinking about, that it was about 3 or 4 decades ago that every time you had a joint account, they started reporting credit for both you and your wife. So if you have any joint accounts anywhere, both of you have credit reports. And even if you don't have joint credit cards, they could do identity theft on your wife, perhaps, if she didn't have her credit frozen.
Thank you. And Gema, I want to let you know that I did a tech conference down in San Diego for 20 years. And in the welcome bag, every time people came, there were as many FTC flyers and bulletins as I could find. I made great use of that bulk order business. I still have some left and bookmarks, and I was spreading the word.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate that. And I think that's one of the, things that we ask people to do is, if you can share this materials, this information, pass it on to other people, let other people know, because that's really how we prevent the scams. Because unfortunately, once you lose money, once you've paid a scammer or sent money or given your information, it's almost too late. Sometimes you might be able to recover some money back, but it's almost too late. So the best way to avoid these scams and to, prevent issues is to try to avoid them and, passing this information around and knowing about the scams and, about some of the ways to fend off some of the responses that you were talking about, like, slow down, talk to other people. That really helps.
I want to thank you for you and Alvaro, great presentation. Thank you so much for adding the backup information in there. That makes us feel special because it's our backup month presentation time. But I got contacted by 2 or 3 people that saying this is the first presentation they're coming, the first Wednesday workshop, and they're beginners. This was a perfect presentation for them. And for those of us who have been doing this for 1,000 years, it was a reminder. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, really? And what we do is we share everything we learn. That's, we're all about education and we pass the information on. And so again, to both of you, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for your time and attention. We have I just put up, I share our email addresses there, our names. If you have any questions or those little more specific questions that you had and that we're hoping to get an answer for you, if you want to email us, go right ahead. And thanks again for the opportunity, and we'll see you next time.
Next January.
Thanks, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
It's the kind of work or presentation that we can almost do every month, every other month, because we forget what we're doing. So that was, thank you so much.